everybody, welcome to the Active Towns channel. I'm John Simmerman and we are still in Oslo. We have a couple of special guests. Why don't you really quickly introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Kari Anne Solfjeld Eid. I am a bike advocate, safe streets advocate, and I'm also the founder of
Wee! We're going to be talking about Wee in a little bit.
Yeah.
And we have a special guest here all the way from Austin, Texas.
Yes.
I recognize you. Who
I
are
know.
you?
I'm Ella Ryan. I know John through my work on the active transportation street design team in Austin, and I now live and work in Oslo. So I'm here now.
And this is the coolest thing ever to have you both here. We're going to go out for a little bit of a bike ride. I hope you're up for a bike ride.
Always, yeah.
Always good. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the city of Oslo. We're going to be talking about your program. But you were just sharing a little bit about your family and how you got kind of inspired with all this. Why don't you go ahead and share that once again?
12 years ago, me and my husband moved in together. We had 3 kids when we bought our apartment in a borough of Oslo that's called Gamlebyen. And then I was pregnant as well, and we decided to see whether or not we could cope without having a car for 6 months. It was kind of an experiment.
Yeah.
So we started out with car sharing, and we haven't looked back. That was kind of the starting point of my sort of car-less lifestyle.
Yeah.
And very soon after that, we got our first cargo bike. And we got the cargo bike as kind of a fun thing for the family, but it turned out to be completely transformational.
Yeah.
And that's sort of impacted everything I've done ever since.
The next thing you knew, you were a cargo bike influencer.
Yes, more or less. Yeah.
More or less. Fantastic. And if we pull back and we take a look at the bike here, we've got the branding right here. Why don't you do just a really quick 30-second introduction to what Wee is?
Yes, Wee is a cargo bike subscription service that's mainly focused on caretakers and urban families, but also anyone living in the central areas of city that don't really want to have a car but needs to move stuff.
Yeah.
So we offer a long-term cargo bike subscription with everything included. And here in Oslo, that also means cleaning, maintenance, insurance, and also twice a year changing into and out of winter tires, like studded tires.
Fantastic, that's great. And Ella, I mentioned Wee, and you're like, wait, that name sounds familiar. How did you hear about it?
My company is doing a trial period right now with Wee, but then we're about to move offices. We currently work a bit, 3 kilometers or something outside the city center, maybe a little more. And we're moving very much centrally in Oslo. So the company, and they're cutting the amount of parking, I think like car parking, basically reducing it to nothing from right now having free car parking. And so they're then in an effort to provide also incentives and benefits or perks. They're going to help subsidize the cost of subscription with Wee. And give people access to more cargo bikes. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I'm super stoked that I was able to bring the two of you together on this. And I'm really excited to get out into the city center and just sort of chat about stuff as we go along. What we're going to do is just kind of roll a little bit. You have a little bit of an idea as to what you'd like to show us. And I like to say that it's also all about if you see something, either of the two of you see something, or if I see something, we may stop and talk about it, just especially from the context of encouraging people to live a healthy, active lifestyle, more active mobility, and also just more people-oriented places. Let's talk about the people-oriented place we're in right now. This is pretty cool. This is like a pop-up temporary installation to make the street more people-oriented. What's the story behind this?
This is Eventyrbrua, and this is a very low traffic bridge that has been in the works for many years. And right now, for the last, 3 or 4 years, they've been doing temporary installations here to just make it more nice to stay and to reduce traffic. Sometimes they remove this in the winter, but there is push to keep it and to make it permanent, of course, because whenever something like this is implemented, it's instantly sort of embraced from the population. So it's something that people really care about.
I mean, we could literally just stand here and film the entire episode right here, because this is just so cool to see. We've got nice green infrastructure that's part of it, helps soften up this environment. But it's just been a constant flow of activity and people, here. I was sitting in the shade a little bit and just kind of absorbing everything. It was absolutely delightful. Is this the first time you've seen this installation?
Not exactly. It's the first time I'm right here, but I have seen it, and I've liked also the rock wall, the way that they've done it. I guess I didn't even think of it as exactly temporary, because to me it feels, maybe it's like somewhere between the two, where like the choice of material.
Material. It's clearly lighter, quicker, cheaper, sitting on top of what used to be just the pavement. But yeah, I was blown away when you said too that they remove it sometimes in the wintertime.
Yes, there's last year there was a change in the local government, and the sitting local government are not planning to continue this project, even though they have like a permanent plan for this street and the area. They're planning to remove it this fall, I think. So that's really sad in my opinion, but that's sometimes how it is. They don't see the value of keeping it.
And what's really sad too is that we have this delivery van right here rumbling in our background, destroying our audio. But it really helps bring up another point. We're going to be talking a lot about cargo bikes from the standpoint of families and how empowering they can be. I can also see cycle logistics and cargo bikes being implemented by cities and encouraged, these companies to get away from these internal combustion engine delivery vans. It's just not compatible with this people-oriented space that we have now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the they're not only messing up our audio, the noise pollution is real and it's a big problem. That's not really something people pay attention to until it's quiet. Yeah, definitely from the noise perspective for sure. And once again, I was reading this morning about the negative impacts of PM2.5, the particulate matter, and when we have internal combustion engines like this spewing out toxins into this environment, I think we should probably start rolling and get away from this. Let's do that.
Let's do it.
No, maybe we can avoid it.
Okay.
So to get to where I'm thinking we should go, there's like mainly car infrastructure, but we could do like back roads.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll hack our way there.
And you're more than welcome to even pontificate a little bit on, choosing a route that's you feel comfortable riding as a parent too. Like imagining you've got your kids on the back.
The principle in 2015, the Oslo municipality started out delivered their bike strategy that needs an update now. But one of the principles of the strategy was something that they called the greedy method, which is taking whatever could be taken easily, like without a big regulation process and stuff.
Right.
So available space that could be converted into better cycling infrastructure very easily was like all the low-hanging fruit, so to say.
Yeah.
And this is an example of that, because this road here used to be one way only, but last year they turned it into like bikes accepted.
Okay.
And then that means that we could now ride it completely legally.
Okay.
So let's turn left here.
Okay.
The tram lines are kind of scary. That's why I have the fat tires as well.
As you can tell, I'm pretty adept at doing that.
Yeah.
Especially when I was in Zurich, I was like, okay.
It's kind of a rite of passage, though, falling over in the Oslo tram lines.
I did fall over once this year in Groningen.
Yeah.
I went down on a curb that I didn't recognize, and so I don't want to do that again.
No, I see that.
And the funny thing was I wasn't even filming. I was just hungry. I was ready for lunch.
So this is down there. You can see there's like a temporary bridge that you can cross over with. But this is like this is always the problem.
Yeah.
Cars parking in the bike lane.
Yeah.
So, did
paint-
they remove the parking to do this?
Yes,
Or, okay,
this
so
is
it's a one
quite-
way with parking. Okay.
Yeah. So this parking lot, it has only shared cars
Okay.
and some addicts, unfortunately.
Okay.
But it's a good place to pick up if you need a big car. We can turn. This is the starting of Nylandsbrua, which is the only implemented piece of the 1967 plan for a 12-lane highway dead across the Oslo center. So this, if they'd actually done that, they would have decimated this entire area to
Right.
build highways.
Yeah. And explain what the connection was to Texas on that.
Yeah, I think I've read that there were a team of Norwegian road engineers that went to Fort Worth, Texas, to learn about the future of transportation, and they came home with a plan to sort of make Oslo not be a like laggard in the terms of getting to the future.
Yeah. And fortunately,
Yeah,
it
but there
didn't
was
get,
like
yeah.
massive resistance,
Yeah.
and that actually just made it stop, or
Yeah.
they were able to stop the project. So we'll turn left here. So this area here is like somewhere where you've never would have ridden a bike because it was like two lanes for cars. So a couple of years ago, it was only the daredevils that would have ridden here.
Yeah.
But now, even if this is like super car-oriented infrastructure, there are still like it's still and it's kind of an afterthought, but it's still possible to, and sort of designed for also cyclists.
Right.
So we'll go up here and then turn left,
Okay.
and then we'll get to Ella's new office.
Nice.
So if we can stop here for a second.
Yeah.
So that bridge and the roundabout there is Nylandsbrua. And right now they're debating whether or not they should tear it down and open up the river for everyone, because that's sort of a remnant of the old way of thinking. Getting more cars into the city is a good thing.
Right.
So it's still, it's like really over-engineered for the type of traffic that we want into the city through this area. And all of this also is like a two-way street that's one way.
Right.
And it shouldn't really be that, because it kind of divides the city in a way that's not really what's good for anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think the ultimate version of this is going to look like or could look like?
I mean, I'm on team tear it down, so I
Yeah.
would really like the road to be torn down, and I
Yeah.
also have suggested in several like hearings and stuff to deregulate it so it's a two-way street instead of one way,
Right.
and just open up, because then you would connect the whole borough of Grünerløkka, Nedre Grünerløkka to Grønland, and this would be somewhere people actually would hang out instead of just passing by.
Yeah, yeah. And I hear what you're saying too. It reminds me of some incremental steps that we were talking about earlier, where that felt completely fine. Now that the changes have been made for us to be able to navigate through that and get to this point. But yeah, it could be so much better still.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's also somewhere that you need like to be kind of brave and knowing the infrastructure and how to deal
Right.
with it, and also not afraid to ride in traffic.
Yeah.
Because this is a very high traffic area
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Oslo.
At least for that little section that we had, we were able to escape over to here.
Yeah.
And over here, we'll let the ambulance go through first. So I noticed up here we have, we came up a little two-way cycle track ramp up to here. Is this like a two-way cycle path that we're on?
No, this is actually just a pavement.
Okay, so this is
but
like a
it's-
multi-use.
Yeah, and this is kind of a like in-between space, because it's not really dedicated to anything. So
Okay.
it's just like solving a place where there's not really space to do anything else.
Yeah.
But if we go down there, we can see Grønlandsleiret, and that's way better space, also with the semi-permanent installations, but there they're actually going to let them be.
Okay.
So we can go there and have a look.
Okay. This is a fun space.
Yeah.
You can see that the little girl wanted to start playing with it. It's like, you know, the imagination just immediately takes over. How old are your kids?
They're between 9 and 24.
Okay, all right, yeah.
So they're getting too old to ride a cargo bike with me.
Yeah, yeah.
So now I'm more like their donkey, and they will ride their own bikes.
Yeah, yeah.
But I bring their stuff when they need to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So as you can see the bridge really just closing. So it's like a one direction street, but it's like the car is much more a guest here than what it used to be like 3 years ago.
Okay.
So it's a completely different thing. And then the municipality has tried to activate this area every summer with different like events and play features and stuff. We can go and have a quick look if you want.
Yeah.
So as a part of this program, there is also like a summer job offering for kids between 15 and 19. So the borough is employing, I think it's like 300 youth to offer them a paid summer job with like being part of the activities and doing all kinds of stuff for the municipality.
Fantastic. And how long has this been in place now?
I think it's the third year or something, and they're really trying to like iterate and learn from what has worked before. And last winter they also did like a skating rink and stuff like that. So they're testing different things to see what catches on.
Yeah, tried different programming.
Yeah.
And when we scan and we look at this space, if I were to come here like 5 years ago, what was happening here?
Oh, there will be delivery trucks.
Delivery trucks?
Yeah, everywhere.
Okay.
And now they've stopped them there, so they do like a forklift instead. So it's way more human friendly in a way.
Yeah. So we've turned the space back over to the people.
I would absolutely say so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you work? Have you worked anything on the Oslo project since you came home? Or here?
I'm sort of my first one now is in Nydalen. But I haven't done much with Oslo work yet.
Yeah. That's a very interesting place also because it's a completely redevelopment of a greyfield area where they've sort of forgotten to do any like parks or any public spaces that aren't commercial.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge.
Wow. How long ago was that developed?
I'm actually not entirely sure. I mean, it's still parts of the project. They're still building out things, which is like where I'm supposed to evaluate I think some of the things the city wants. You know, there's like the developers and there's the city that wants certain improvements, and I think the question is like, what is the developer's responsibility and what is the city's responsibility? And I guess it's an age-old you know, problem, or not even problem, but just like a kind of negotiation, I guess, of like who does what, who's responsible, and when you build a more attractive place and more people want to come. Like,
Is this your first time seeing this?
Yeah, this right here, yeah.
This is
cool
really
too.
cool. I'm loving the energy
the
here.
foosball table.
Yeah, I mean, We've got a whole pack full of little bikes right here that are hanging out. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is very, very fun. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, this, like, having been through here every year, this year seems like the most successful programming they have been able to pull. Because also there has been some things that hasn't really attracted people as they've hoped or wanted to, and then it's just like tumbleweed, and that's also kind of. But I think they've been really learning and adapting to what works, so that's cool.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, where to next?
Let's move a bit.
Okay.
But let's see.
That's cool. This is obviously a pop-up.
Yes, this is the same type of infrastructure,
Yeah.
and here also, of course, the restaurant owners and people who live here really love it. People want to drive here, don't like it.
Okay. Tough.
Yeah, tough luck.
Tough.
But I mean, if you see, like, count the cars and count the people,
Yeah.
then it's obvious who needs the space.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's pull up over here to the left and talk a little bit more about this space.
Sure.
So this space really reminds me a lot of space that we've seen pop up around the globe in the wake of the pandemic.
Yes.
Is that similar here?
I think when the pandemic hit here, there weren't really any, like, extra initiatives in terms of open streets and stuff. Because I remember there was this, like, spreadsheet that was collecting all the places where they did, like, ciclovia pop-ups or open streets initiatives. And when we requested it, the municipality we already have this long-term plan, and we're already doing the work.
So this actually predates the pandemic.
No, but I think the planning of it predated the pandemic, so it was, like, in the works already.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I and some other people were kind of wanting the municipality and the local government to use the pandemic as an accelerator to like move even faster and like use the
With
opportunity.
permanent infrastructure,
Yes,
yeah.
and also just like, I mean, in the pandemic where we're supposed to have like a social distancing, like walking the streets here with social distancing isn't possible because it's so many pedestrians.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, some of these streets could have been closed for the time being.
Yeah.
So I was like a big fan of sort of using that as an excuse to accelerate the work.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're doing great work. It's not that's not a problem. But
talk a little bit about the historical context of, you know, kind of what happens within the city and within the national government, you know, back like a decade ago, and really that context of trying to, because you mentioned a lot of this was already in the works, in the planning.
Yeah.
There's a reason why.
Yes, I mean, a lot of that came with there was a bike strategy that was finished in 2015 and sort of taken into policy at the time. So they've been working with that ever since that.
Right.
They made a bike division in the municipal Bymiljøetaten, like the division of the authorities that working with infrastructure, and they've added pedestrian work to that, so it's called the mobility division or something.
Plan,
Yeah. So they have been, and they also did a new road normal here for Oslo.
Right.
Where whenever a road needs to be like redone, they have principles of what type of road it is that would make them able to like narrow the street and build like curbs and stuff to reduce speeds and also do like climate mitigation in terms of blue-green solutions and stuff like that.
What's really impressive about that too is when we think of it, usually when we hear the term like, a bike plan or a bike master plan, you can appreciate this too, Ella, is that we think of like, a cycle network plan and trying to like imagine what it's going to be like with that. But this was even broader than that. I mean, a lot of it was stuff like this and creating more people-oriented streets and traffic calm streets and shared streets. And so it wasn't necessarily what you'd think about, which is just bike lanes and pathways.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know the inner workings of the municipality since I'm like a layman and an activist, so I just know it from sort of my side of the street. But it was also, they have big ambitions as turning Oslo into a car-free city, but the sort of pushback to that was so massive that they had to sort of tone it down, so there was a lot of things that were implemented and a lot of things that were, especially the temporary things, that were heavily critiqued, but everything that has been able to sort of remain has done what it was intended to do, like increase, like make moving around easier for pedestrians, like any active transportation is easier now. Yeah. So it was a really hard, and there was also these like very strange harassing Facebook groups with like 60,000 members who would harass anything and anyone who said anything positive about maybe we should improve streets for cyclists.
For people?
Yeah, for people. So yeah, it was a strange time in retrospect.
Yeah.
And it was also a strange time to be an activist where you were like, I remember like being in an interview about like how my family was able to live life without owning a car, and I was like, it was a long interview. The title was of course like angled to be rage bait, and I was like doxxed.
Yeah.
So it was crazy. It was like a million comments for people living way out of the city with like vomit faces and everything. But I also think like social media has sort of run its course. Like no one really cares. It's not really relevant as it was like in 2015 or 2020, I guess. Yeah. So it's you just stop paying attention, really.
Well, and we were talking about earlier at the other location where we saw some of the temporary installations, the interim materials. I see the same thing here, and I see the trees that are planted in these, and the fact that you had mentioned that it really helps the restaurants out too. I mean, we're creating vibrant places.
Absolutely.
And that is, I think, the ultimate test is you got to get things on the ground and prove that it's not just about quote unquote the cyclists, it's about creating more vibrant, vital places for people.
Yeah, and it's proving that cars ruin cities. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No other way of saying it.
Yeah, cars do ruin cities. And the streets are for people. Thank you very much.
Do you think that the people are more supportive of it's oriented in a pedestrian, like because I know that a lot of people walk in Oslo, the transit usage is also very high, so it's interesting to come here for me too and like be reminded that Norway also loves, I mean maybe not Oslo, but Norway does love cars. Like there's, it's required in many parts of Norway. I think Oslo is unique in that it has such good transit, but have you seen that if it's messaged more as like, these kinds of benches and park installations, that it becomes also more palatable, or not even palatable, but more supported, or?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, for a long time, I think people in rural Norway and in other smaller cities thought that Oslo was like a desolate city because of like, well, now you can't really drive your car anywhere. And I think like some people, I never go to Oslo because this and this and this. And then, but I mean, for people who experience it, they will come and they will get the cognitive dissonance because I mean, Oslo is really the only city, or apart from Bergen perhaps, but the only city in Norway that has density that sort of in a scale that defends the need to really think very progressively and kind of drastically about space and how to allocate space to mobility. Other cities like Stavanger, which is a big city, they are bloated and it's still easy enough to, it's spread out over a way bigger area. So it's easier to sort of still drive your car to the center of the city and expect that to be okay. But here, and also that's kind of the, I mean, the business model of my company is there's no, like, the bike has to be competitive in any way. Like, it has to be more practical and quicker than the car. Otherwise, it's something that will work on a sunny day or something that will work heavily subsidized. So that's in order to be like competitive in the open market, we need to be in places where the car is highly impractical. And you have to solve the sort of lack of scalability for cars, because that's like the main problem with cars as mass transportation. It doesn't really scale without horrible consequences. So, and it's about like offering that, and then it's viable as a business.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's super. It's just like it's been like a really strange 10 years to like watch the changes, and also and also like with all the fake news and like how people perceive. I mean, for many people, this area, it's like a very multicultural area, and a lot of people outside of Oslo think that it's not safe being here.
Right.
They think that this is like the like Islamic State of Oslo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's just strange, you know.
People get their ideas. Yeah.
It's cognitive dissonance, and also like believing xenophobic communication, I guess.
Yeah. And to your point too, you know, what a wild decade it has been, because basically 10 years ago, you know, that plan came up. I remember being in Paris in September of 2015 for the very first car-free city ever, for the city of Paris. And Mayor Hidalgo was saying, you know, hey, we need to do this because we can't even see the Eiffel Tower through the smog. Yeah. And that same week, you know, the announcement out of Oslo here was, you know, about the removal of thousands of parking spaces and really moving forward with that initiative. Who would have thunk, 5 years later we'd have a pandemic, and then, so it's just, you're right, it's been a wild and crazy 10 years. Yeah. So, but kudos to the city. I mean, what I've seen all over the city are lots of installations like this, especially down in this area, but also, kind of up. I'm staying up near the park, so I'm staying up there, and there's just beautiful, brand new, protected and separated bike lanes going in with red asphalt, real high quality stuff that's happening. So you've got your interim materials and your temporary stuff, but you also have the commitment to putting in some very high quality permanent infrastructure and slowing motor vehicles down.
Yeah. And I mean, these the painted bike lanes, they're kind of the greedy method thing, because it's easy to remove parking and paint. Yeah. But then, like the road we're gonna go up there in a while, that's the first elevated path, and that's physically segregated. And they're using the Copenhagen sort of principles of just the curb, but still like 5-10 centimeters over the. Yeah. And that's the first bike lane And I remember, like, I was talking to a plumber who had his offices up there, and to begin with, they were like, "Oh, this is going to destroy business," and they were like so negative. And then when they implemented it, it was like, "Oh, this is kind of nice, actually."
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Shall we keep rolling?
Let's do that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's funny. I'm staying in an Airbnb up that way, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I've got all this stuff going on.
Yeah, no, I saw some of the construction. Ooh.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's exciting, that bike lane.
Do you know who Professor Pietkowski is, Dan Pietkowski?
No.
So he is a professor at Oslo Met University. He's
Okay.
who I interviewed yesterday.
Oh, nice.
He's an American that now is at the university.
Okay.
And Kari Anne is featured in his new book that he just published. And so that's who I was riding with yesterday. And his family lives in that neighborhood
nice.
too.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What is his
Yeah.
new book?
It's called the Bicycle City. Yeah,
Bicycle City.
Bicycle City. Yeah, it's
I
fantastic.
don't remember. I don't even remember who connected me with him.
Yeah.
But I met him when he moved here, and he came to our workshop to do like a lecture at one point, and he's really nice.
Yeah. No, he's really, really good guy. I've had him on my channel a couple of
Oh, wow,
times. So
okay.
when he first moved to Oslo, I had him on, and we talked a little bit about that whole transition of, American with kids moving to Oslo and the reason why they chose it and all. And he moved during the pandemic too.
Oh, wow, okay.
So it was like a major, major thing. So, but yeah, I'd be happy to connect you with him. He's
I was actually
super
going to
good
say,
guy.
I'd love
Yeah.
to talk to him or meet him. It would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking more about, like, also just grad school or like the research happening in the field and stuff.
We can go here.
I just was reading this book called Killed by a Traffic Engineer. I'm
Yeah,
sure
so
you've heard
Wes
of it.
Marshall, good friend of mine,
Yeah.
he was actually Dan's mentor when Dan was working on his PhD.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wow, small world. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. He seems, Wes Marshall seems
Yeah,
like a...
Kari Anne, did you hear what she said? Small world.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
just talking about that. Is this whole world is a small world?
Yeah.
So what do you think of Wes's book?
So far I'm enjoying it. I guess it's like, enjoying. I mean, I guess it resonates because it's like, what I really like is that he's like,
Let's cross over here and go into the park.
Okay.
he's debunking the sign. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like this. I think it's just satisfying. It's like I knew,
Yeah.
I knew this stuff through like my own experience, but he's like
Yeah.
going back to all these sources, which I think
Yeah.
is
yeah.
cool. Like finding the original papers or just like how we actually got to where we are and explaining that history. And
Yeah, he was telling me that he
yeah.
came up with the title 10 years ago, and then when the pandemic happened, he just buckled down and
And
dove into the
wrote.
research on it.
yeah.
So,
Which book are you talking about?
so we're talking about the new book by Wes Marshall. Wes used to be Dan's advisor
Okay.
at his doctorate level, and that book is called "Killed by a Traffic Engineer."
Oh yeah, yeah, I know.
So, yeah.
I've seen that.
So Wes has been on the channel 3 or 4 times now.
Oh wow. Okay. I have to
So
go
I
back
did
and
the
find
interview
that,
like
yeah.
this on the bike with Wes in Denver,
Oh nice.
and it's a fun. And I'd be happy to introduce you to Wes too
Yeah.
if you ever
No.
want to meet.
Honestly, I would love that.
So
So I live just up the hill there.
cool.
So this is a park that opened last year.
Okay.
It's sort of the life work of a sculptor who died in 2019, I think.
Okay.
His name was Bård Bremde.
Yeah.
And he donated all these sculptures to the municipality with a plan for how to develop the park.
Yeah.
And then there's been like a political fight to get it funded.
Okay.
And now it's kind of, and then this year it was, last year it was completed and opened. So it's something that's the borough is really happy about.
Fantastic. And did you say that this is one of the park that was like sort of crowdfunded?
No, not
Okay.
this. That's no. This is a municipal.
Okay, so this is
Yeah.
a municipal funding, yeah. But very much the community encouraging it and trying to
there
prod
was a
it
lot of
along.
activism to get it funded
Okay,
by the society, the Friends of Klosterenga.
right. Fantastic. How much of that is a part of the culture here in Norway and in Oslo is having these community groups, sort of prodding and moving the municipality along?
I mean, there's not that much. I think the Safe Streets activism is kind of a urban thing.
Yeah.
Unless there is when a road is very fatal, if there's a lot of fatalities along one road, or it's
Right.
perceived dangerous for as a school road or something, then
Yeah.
the parents of the school probably will organize.
Right.
But the sort of volunteer work in terms of improving things is very often connected to like sports clubs and local initiatives that are already there.
Yeah.
So the infrastructure is there, but they're taking on activism as part of their thing.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not really sure. I don't really have the ability to compare with other countries.
Sure.
But in this borough, there is a lot of there is a very cultural divide in Oslo between the east and the west.
Right.
Where traditionally the west side has had more resources, better education, better socioeconomic conditions. And on the east side, people die sooner and have less education and less income.
Right.
But there is, of course, a level of gentrification and stuff like that that's happening. We can go
Right.
in here just to check. But then there is a lot of protest and working class history in these areas as well. So I don't know. I mean, organizing in a low-key activism sense has become way easier than it has been.
Right.
We can check here. So this is an old creek that they've taken back into light. It's really pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, you can cross. They have a little path.
Have you seen
Oh
it
yeah,
before?
they've got the
I've been
stepping
here. I've,
stones right there.
I've biked
That's
by
great.
parallel, but
Yeah.
I've never actually gone through. So this is really nice to see.
So before last year, the only part of the park that was actually done was the kind of the elephant wall and that space over there, which is also kind of popular for skating. But now it's the entire thing.
Wow.
And it's also filled with Easter eggs. So there are these, underneath the waterfall there's a tiny frog sculpture that hides that you only can see in the nighttime. So they're really cute
So there's
stuff.
these little adventure things for
Yeah.
children to be searching out and
Yeah,
finding.
yeah. So
How
this is
special.
probably the place that's sort of become my favorite, where I didn't used to spend time before. But now I really like it.
And when did this get completed?
Last year, it opened last year.
Okay, last year,
So it's
okay.
only the first year of vegetation getting ready.
Yeah, so your older kids didn't really get to experience this so much,
No,
but
it's for
your
the
9-year-old
youngest.
probably enjoys it.
Yeah. And all the kids who live here come here and just meet in the park.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, and there's a
Yeah.
football field there, and so sometimes there's they use this wall for an outdoor cinema from time
Right.
to time. So
Yeah.
it's really nice.
I think this is really, important to realize too, is that when you take spaces like this, you've got plenty of housing pretty much all around here, and I suspect that there was really a need for more open space and more parkland and more green.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
the park was already here, but it was kind of run down.
Right.
And then this sort of, the whole waterworks and everything really just lifted the whole, and now it's kind of an art experience as well. So
Yeah.
it's really, like really something else.
Yeah, there's something cooling about having running water. We noticed that on the streets of several cities, ancient
Yes.
cities that I visited on this trip, is that that was a key feature. Even in historic times, is they would have the running water because they knew that it's a nice cooling feature in the summertime.
Yeah,
It's like natural air conditioning
yeah.
for the outdoors.
I also noticed like in Vienna, they have like everywhere around the city, they have this like water pumps. You can get fresh, clean
Yes.
drinking water
Yes,
for
yes.
free. And that's also something I think Oslo should have
I
that.
was noticing. I've
Yeah.
noticed that they don't have any water fountains actually,
No.
like
Yeah.
water fountains for drinking water.
Right.
And I also am like, why not? Like
No.
it would be so nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like.
And the
it
water
gets-
is really, we have
Yeah, we
like
have so much. It's plentiful. Yeah.
yeah, and also good quality
Yeah,
drinking
yeah.
water.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. That was a feature that I think I ran into in the Black Forest region of Germany, in
Yeah.
Freiburg, is they had lots of drinking fountains and lots of water features throughout.
Yes.
So, yeah, fantastic.
Wow.
This has been absolutely gorgeous, and as we can tell, the kids absolutely hate this place. It's beautiful. And again, just want to send a huge thank you to all my Active Towns ambassadors supporting the channel financially via YouTube memberships, YouTube super thanks, as well as making contributions to the nonprofit and joining my Patreon. Every little bit adds up and is very much appreciated. Thank you all so much.